Some of the largest playable scatter terrain you're going to find is right here. Not only do these mountains have lightning effects, sounds of thunder, and smoke machines to blanket your table in clouds, but these mountains also allow you to play with your miniatures almost all over this mountain. You can even put flying enemies all around it to attack the airship we're going to make next week. But right now, we're going to work on these mountains this week on Tabletop Witchcraft. Hey there, and welcome back to Tabletop Witchcraft. That's right, you heard correct. Next week is going to be the biggest, most epic thing I have ever created on this channel. A humongous airship that is so big that one of these mountains is actually the base for the airship. That video is in collaboration with a whole bunch of people like Sam Lenz, Gerard Boom, Wayne's Workshop, Terraintronics, 3D Sean over on Instagram, Noble Knight Games, on and on. We really put something very special together, so that's next week. You don't want to miss out on it. Now for this video, it's actually a really easy craft. I used a bunch of pine bark from Little White Oak Supply. There's a link down below to their Etsy shop, and you'll get 10% off for the entire month of March. Go check them out. Super fun, easy craft right here. While you're down there, check out Firelight Fables Candle Company. TWC10 at checkout gets you 10% off your whole order. A little kickback comes to me and helps out the channel. There's also a link down there to my website, www.tabletopwitchcraft.com. You'll find all the equipment and tools that I use in this shop, plus discounts to Terraintronics and Wayne's Workshop for the smoke machine. Go check that out. And yeah, with that, let's go grab some supplies and let's get crafting. Alright, I'm going to kick this video off with a Realm of the Fae candle by Firelight Fables Candle Company. Great ambiance for the craft. And I just took a big piece of paper, sketched out the base of these mountains, and made a couple of boxes out of some dollar store foam core where the bases are held together by some magnets. That's how we're going to place this smoke machine and the other electrical components in the bottom of these and make it nice and easy to turn them on and off. Those are some attachments for the smoke machines to blanket the table in smoke. This little box is going to hold that speaker, which is going to be really nice. Super easy way to put sound into this craft. It plays off of a little mini SD card. And honestly, I would just make that box like the other ones where you can access it through the bottom of that board, like this one. I made it so that you kind of have to move some of the clouds and place it in once you're done. It works, but again, I would rather have a box and access it through the bottom of the table. Okay, now this piece right here is going to be for the base for the airship. We're going to slide it down on these acrylic rods to make it look like it's actually flying in the air. That'll be in next week's video. And I was actually very surprised at how well the hot glue held these in place. And to sturdy them up a little bit more, we're going to just layer aluminum foil, hot glue, and so on. Maybe like 4 or 5 times and build that up. And it's going to be really, really solid. I was able to pick this whole stand up when I was done by one of these rods. And this piece right here really makes it nice and solid and holds them together really well. Again, this piece is going to lay the smoke from the smoke machine flat on the table, and it will make it spread out instead of lifting up off the table. Really cool piece. Alright, now these are all of the pine bark sections that were supplied by Little White Oak Supply over on Etsy. There'll be a link in the description below where you can check their shop out. Lots of great stuff over there. And you'll get 10% off your order for this bark for the entire month of March. And I secured some of this bark in place with some rolled up paper towels and some foam. And I used a lot of scrap in this, tried to use up what I had left over from the airship. This was a practice piece from the bow. Just be careful here. I'm just using the lighter to melt some of the small strands of hot glue. Alright, now you're going to notice that there's some gaps in this bark and it's starting to come along really nice and look really cool. But we want to fill some of those gaps so that it doesn't look as much like bark once we're done. To do that, we're going to mix some Elmer's glue, water, and some cotton balls. And those cotton balls will just shove into all these cracks, and then we're going to add some sand, a little bit of gravel, and it's really going to hide the fact that this really is bark. And you see I'm using my finger here. Another great little tool is just a paintbrush to help blend the cotton into place. If you're enjoying this video and my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, now we're going to go over to our Terraintronics boards here. I'll have a link in the description to Terraintronics. You can find all of these parts on his Tindy store. I use a lot of these in my crafts. It's really not that hard to do. And if you have any questions, he's a great guy and a resource to hit up. Very helpful and useful. Alright, I'm a big fan of this Game Masters primer by the Army Painter. Does a really good job. You can see I'm doing a zenithal prime on this, and it allowed me to have a lot of fun when it came to painting these, because I didn't really paint them. I just did a whole bunch of washes over this zenithal prime, and I was actually in love with how the paint job came out when I was done. Now you can find these paint products, this magnetizer, everything you see in this video in my Amazon links down below or on my website at www.tabletopwitchcraft.com. Now you don't need a very thick layer of this magnetizer. It will cover up a little bit of some detail from the bark, so put it on thin, as you can see just up above right here. It's all you need, a little magnet in the base of that mini, and they'll stick perfect. Alright, now I was inspired by one of the episodes of Vox Machina on, I believe it's Amazon right now. They had some mountains with these really cool looking, almost like cherry blossom trees just growing right out of the side of them. And that's exactly what these mountains needed. They were cold looking, they were gray, and these trees are going to have a nice hint of brown and a splash of pink, which is really going to stand out nice on the craft. Alright, now to paint these up, I used some real brush from my garden, and I primed them white, dipped them in a deep purple, then I just did a bunch of highlights on them with brighter and brighter purples and pinks. And then just a standard, I guess, tree color, some brown, some tans, and washing of the trunk to get that look right there. Alright, now these are the washes that I talked about. We're going to use a green, a black, and a brown, and we're going to add a little bit of matte medium to them and a little bit of water. Once we have that, to adjust them as needed, we can add a little black ink and brown ink as well, and that'll kind of adjust them to, whatever color or shade you want. Adding a little bit of water will thin them down real nice, and then we can just slap this all over the mountain. Now, the nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about going from the black to the brown or the brown to the green. Again, it's going to just be all mixed and blended together. It's going to come across, I guess, really sloppy looking right here, but the final result is excellent. Alright, then I took a linen color, really light white or tan, and we're just going to dry brush that over the mountain. The beautiful thing with this pine bark is it's got a lot of angular sections and pieces to it. It's going to really make all that definition stand out really, really nice. Now, it definitely needed a little bit more color than just those trees, so I took some of the soft pastels, scraped them up, and I used a couple different colors of brown and green and black to just add some colors where it looked like maybe some of the earth was exposed. Alright, now this is a piece of wire I had left over from working around the house, and we're going to attach our lights to that here in just a little bit for our lightning effect. And using this pin vise, we can just put a little hole into the bark where we can attach the copper wire. Don't worry about being a little messy here. You're not going to see where these attach anyway. Now the nice thing about these LED strips is they have a sticky backing and it's extremely sticky. So I didn't have to use anything else to affix these to the wire. And here are the boards from Terraintronics. And he'll have links to where you can grab the code for the lightning effects. Alright, now this cotton right here is from some pillow stuffing. It's got a little bit of a clear blue look to it. So to eliminate that, I sprayed it with some white paint from Vallejo. I'm telling you, Vallejo Air paint, I don't have much hair in my head and I want to keep what I got. So I only run Vallejo Air through my airbrush. That with a little bit of thinner and flow improver, and I hardly ever, if never on some crafts, have clogs in the airbrush. Highly recommend them. Alright, so you can see how this mountaintop is really going to provide a fun piece of scatter terrain for that airship. It's going to have opportunity for objectives, ambush points, you name it. Now I've got over 160 hours of design and craft time into the airship. I hope you come back next week and check it out. As well as listen in for some updates on the new Quest Giver module that I've worked on with Gareth from the DMG Info, DM Scotty, and my brother. If you missed last week's video, go check that out. There's some Easter eggs in there, which will give you a little sneak peek at the airship as well. Also, if you don't mind, head over to Patreon. It's support over there that really helps fund this channel and helps it grow. Alright, until next week's epic airship video, I'll see you around.